Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great today. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the listener, specifically the default listener. Now, in a previous video, I'd already mentioned or I'd already introduced the listener, and as we know, the listener actually listens for client connections to the database. When a client tries to connect to the database, it's the listener that actually listens for that connection and then passes the parameters, if they are correct, to the database, for authentication. But then you need to understand one simple fact. Whenever you perform a database installation, the listener is automatically installed with a particular configuration file. And that configuration file is known as listener.aura. Let's quickly go to our server and then see the location of the listener configuration file before we proceed further in this lecture. So I'll go to my home directory and then go to other locations, computer, U01. Basically, I'm going to the Oracle home directory, okay? So, product 12 DB1. I'm actually using a 12C database, okay? And then look for a folder known as network and then go to admin. You can see the file listener.aura. If I try to open it with text editor, let's see the details of this configuration file. You can see the entry for the local listener, and then it uses a TCP protocol. Okay, and the default port is 1521. Now, there's something I need you to understand. If you're working with the default protocol, which is TCP, and the default port number, you don't necessarily need the listener to connect to the database. I'll prove this to you. Now, let's quickly close this. And then let me rename this file. Rename, and then I'll add ABC to it. Sorry, ABC, and I say rename. Okay, now we've actually renamed the listener configuration file, right? So the next thing I want to do is to open a new terminal, and then I'll try to stop the listener. Sorry. Now the command has been started successfully. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to start it again after I have renamed that file. So let's start. Now you can see that listener supports no service, but then if you wait for 60 seconds, it will still register all the services. Let's see, listener status. Okay, we've waited for 19 seconds. We still have about 41 seconds. So let's wait again after 60 seconds. The LREG process takes about 60 seconds to register the services. So let's try it again. Okay, we waited for 37 seconds. So we still have 23 seconds more. Okay, so you can see now that even with the listener configuration file renamed, the listener still registered all of the services. And even the clients can actually connect. Okay, to prove this to you, I'll quickly go to my SQL developer and then I'll look at this connection properties. Now take note of the port number. We're working with a default port number. Okay, so if I test the connection, you will see that it was successful. So I've been able to prove to you that you don't necessarily need the listener to connect to the database as long as you are using the default protocol, which is TCP, and if you're using the default port number, which is 1521. The listener actually registers all service because we're actually using what is known as a dynamic registration. And this is made possible by the local listener. So let me quickly cancel this. And then the next thing I want to do is to connect as a sysdba. There's something I want to show you again. So now I'm connected to the database, and then I'm going to issue the following command: show parameter local. Okay, so we can see the local listener, local underscore listener, and then we can see the value as listener underscore ORCL. So this is actually the name of the local listener. And where can we find this name? Again, try to open this file, tnsnames.aura. You can see the configuration for the local listener, listener underscore ORCL, and then the default protocol, which is TCP, and the port number, which is 1521. So guys, I've been able to prove to you that you don't necessarily need the listener to connect to the database as long as you're using the default TCP and the default port. Okay, so I'm going to try to rename the listener back to its original name. Rename, back to the way it was. Okay. So in my next video, I'm going to show you how to use a non-default port. Okay, so stay tuned for that video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this lecture was interesting to you. If it was, kindly like it and share it widely. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon so you don't miss out whenever I upload another valuable content. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.